Good morning, guys. It's early morning at the cafe. The weather has been so nice recently after the rain has been coming on and off. And so I wanted to just take some time today and chat with you guys and give you guys a little bit more insight. I wanted to talk about some mind shift changes that you can utilize in your day-to-day so that you can uplift yourself for the better. And number one is if you have a really nice day outside, that's kind of already done for you. But if you don't, here are some things that I like to do on my own that can help. One obvious thing is to just turn on the camera and start talking, because when you're looking at yourself in the camera, like a lot of the times you're feeling really down about yourself, but when you have to talk to someone or you're talking to yourself and you see yourself in the camera, you don't want to look all sad and depressed for yourself, because you feel like, what if someone watches this, or what if I look at it again and I see my depressed self. And so I just sometimes like to, if I don't feel like writing anything down, if I don't feel like I want to be too much of a recluse, then I like to turn on the camera and start talking to myself, because it kind of gives me like a pep talk. Not always, I like to just complain to myself as well, but I think if you are in the YouTube world, or if you're not, I think just turn on the camera, looking at yourself and being able to give yourself a pep talk always helps uplift yourself. Okay, I know this next one is super cliche, but it's to be able to find yourself a ritual. If you don't have a typical ritual that you go to, then I recommend trying to find something where you can steep something or brew something. And so that means either tea or coffee, because either two things, your brain is not functioning, so it's all pause, nothing is coming out of your brain, or number two, you have so many thoughts that are leading you nowhere and you can't organize any of them. And so taking a complete silence break when you're brewing something or steeping something helps with that. And I know some people like to clear their minds with like exercise, which is also of course a great way to do it. But when you can't go out and do things, then in your house, in your safe space, so this is what I like to do. Give myself a moment to actually use my brain, especially good in the morning, because you get to tone down your brain and then start thinking, because that's when your brain hasn't done a lot of cognitive functions yet, and so it's able to deplete its energy still, if that makes sense. There's like a proper scientific term for this, but I can't think of the word right now, but yeah. So this coffee is we call it a 반짝이, which means in Korean like it comes and goes, like it's a sparkle kind of thing. And so I created a poster for it on like an A4 size paper, so it's like ginormously huge. It kind of screams in your face, but that's how I like it. One thing I like to do if I find myself still not focused enough is that whenever I'm brewing a coffee or I'm focusing on doing something else, I try to look at it from like a different perspective for that day. So for example, if I normally brew ice, then I'm gonna try to brew it hot today. Or if I usually do like a 40 gram and then like 120 for my next pour, then in terms of like water milliliters, then maybe I'll do 130 and see if it'll taste any different, and just kind of having fun with this in its moment in itself, because everything else in my life may suck right now, then at least this is something that I can take control of and actually see direct results. And I think that's why I love coffee so much, is that when you change one little variable, one little aspect of it, you get such a huge difference. And it's either good or bad, or it could actually, not be either good or bad, just provide you a different result. And so being able to see some kind of instant reaction is something I think we need in a stage of uncertainty, in a stage of a slump. Water was all boiled by the time I finished talking. For some reason, I've been enjoying trying to increase 10 every single time, especially for coffees that I've been brewing for a while. I know how it tastes with our usual recipe. Then from there, if I normally stop at 200, I'll stop at like 210 or 220, 10 at a time to see how it changes and see where my preference lies. Sometimes it'll be 210, sometimes it'll actually be 215. And going off of drinking coffee or tea, one thing that I recommend is sometimes you want to drink out of a different cup. If you have your favorite cup that makes you feel good, that's great. Sometimes I like to have separate different cups, and mugs is just for different occasions depending on how I feel or depending on what I'm drinking. Sometimes when I'm drinking coffee, I kind of just drink out of the server just because it's convenient that way. But if I'm feeling a little hipstery, I'll drink out of an ice cup like this and pretend I'm drinking wine and getting drunk on live. that hits the spot. Also, if you can find a space where there's absolutely no humans on the planet that morning, it's so nice. This is why I love early mornings, is because especially at the cafe, when you come here before any customer does, and you get to turn on some music, you get to brew yourself your cup of coffee, that empty space, that like completely like open space with like no one there with you, and just quiet, and you get to just be with yourself and feel comfortable, is great. And I'm not talking about your house, I'm not talking about your room, I'm talking about some outdoor space that it's not like necessarily your place all the time. It can give you that kind of comfort. If you are feeling down, try to wake up like 30 minutes early and find yourself going to like a nearby cafe, drink a cup of coffee, because that feeling is so good. Guys, this is what I love about being able to talk to yourself and like think, because I just thought of this other really great idea that I wanted to share with you guys, is that if you guys are notebookers or journalists or whatever it is, and you love, notepads, we all have that thing where we do to just get our brains off, and making coffee was one of them. But I have this notebook, right? And I love to decorate these notebooks, because when I take them out and I look at them, then I know what they are for. The stickers that we have for this event here, if you can see, they're photos that our photographer that we're doing this collab with has taken photos of, and they're really pretty. I've been trying to figure out where I wanted to put them or like plaster them, and I just thought of this notebook. So here we are. I'm just gonna start decorating this notebook. I absolutely love the brightness of nature, so I'm gonna put these two here just because it kind of reminds me of where I want to go towards, what my goals are these days, and it's to not only just be stuck in the whirlwind of feelings, but also in the day-to-day lives that we like to spend. And my goal is to be able to get closer and closer with nature, rather than closer and closer with the city and the hecticality of everything. So that's just gonna be the front. Of course, I'm gonna add more stickers into this later, but that's what that is for now. And then got a couple more for the back. Can we do this? Will it fit? Barely. Doesn't give me much extra space. Like that. Maybe like this. Or maybe I'll just put this one. Kind of gives me like this like stop sign vibe. It says layover on it, but it kind of gives me like, hey, pause for a second. See where that takes you kind of vibe. Just realize that if I do put this smack in the middle of this entire journal, it'll be hard to like fill out the space on the side. I'm gonna put the cover back on. Yay! Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini morning session with me as I open the doors wide open, give myself a little reset, and actually see in person that I can actually create new ideas from just taking the time for yourself and giving yourself a pep talk and brewing coffee for yourself. So I'll see you guys in the next one.